Imagine sprinting down a mountain, not to win a medal, but to catch a rolling wheel of cheese. Sounds absurd? It gets stranger. Because by the end of this video, you'll realize this isn't even the weirdest thing Britain proudly celebrates. Today, we're diving into 50 UK facts that make absolutely no sense until you see the stories behind them. From flaming barrels to fish pies that stare at you, from golden rabbits to knights that waddle, every corner of Britain hides a story that's equal parts quirky, ancient, and brilliant. Stay till the end, because fact number 50 connects centuries of bizarre British traditions, and it will blow your mind. At Cooper's Hill in Gloucester, hundreds of people chase a 3 to 4 kilogram wheel of cheese down one of the steepest hills you've ever seen. It's chaos. People tumble, somersault, and slide the whole way down. The first person to cross the finish line wins the cheese. Nobody does it for the prize, though. It's for pride. And maybe a few hospital visits. Speaking of questionable races, the Welsh town of Llanwrtyd Wells hosts the World Bog Snorkelling Championship. Instead of running, contestants swim through a trench of murky peat bog water using only their flippers. No arms, just leg power. It's cold, it's weird, and it's oddly fun. And if you thought that was strange, how about a sport based entirely on kicking someone's shins? At the Cotswold Olympics, competitors stuff their pants with straw and try to knock each other down by booting shins until one falls. Yes, it's been a sport since the 1600s. Remember this event. It connects to another ancient British tradition later. In Kent, the World Custard Pie Championship swaps trophies for dessert ammo. Teams fling custard pies at each other, getting points for accuracy and style. Britain, apparently, fights its battles with sugar and cream. Now imagine your town throwing a festival where everyone carries flaming barrels through the streets. In Ottery St. Mary, people do just that. On the night of November 5th, locals hoist burning tar barrels on their shoulders and march through crowds. It's both terrifying and mesmerizing, like a living medieval fire show. Over on the Isle of Man, residents race around a harbor in old tin bathtubs. The World Tin Bath Championships are essentially the Formula One of bathroom furniture. The rule? No unfair bath modifications. But the slowest British sport has to be snail racing. Picture a table marked with rings and tiny numbered snails slowly sliding toward victory. Cheered on by a live commentator. In some fairs, people bet on them. It's snail speed entertainment, but weirdly addictive. In the seaside town of Mousehole, Cornwall, you'll find the Stargazy Pie. It's a fish pie where the fish heads stick through the crust, looking up at the stars. Legend says a fisherman named Tom Bawcock braved a storm to feed the town, and they bake the pie each year in his honor, fish heads and all. Ever wonder why Christmas pudding is so dense? It used to contain actual meat. Early versions had partridge, rabbit, even beef mixed with dried fruits and brandy. King George the Fur later made it sweet instead, saving dessert lovers everywhere. One of Britain's most famous Indian dishes, Chicken Tikka Masala, was actually invented in the UK. It was British chefs who added a creamy tomato sauce to suit local tastes. By 2001, it became so beloved that a government minister called it a true British national dish. If you're loving how weirdly wonderful Britain is, hit subscribe, because these stories keep getting stranger and we uncover new ones every week. Join our curious community and see the world a bit differently. And talk about icons, over 80% of Brits crown the full English breakfast as their favorite meal. Eggs, sausages, beans, toast. It's less a breakfast, more a national identity. Lunch has its own British invention too, the sandwich. The 4th Earl of Sandwich wanted a meal he could eat while gambling. He ordered meat between bread slices, and history took care of the rest. Every snack, from Subway to PB&J, owes him one. In old London, pies were once filled with eels. Yep, eel pie and mash was a working-class staple. Today, most shops use beef instead, but they still pour the same green parsley gravy known as liquor. Cheddar cheese isn't just a flavor, it's a place. The village of Cheddar in Somerset gave its name to one of the world's most popular cheeses, originally aged in its local caves. On menus, you might find spotted dick. Don't laugh, it's a steamed pudding with raisins. The name comes from old dialect words, not, what you're thinking. Britain's smallest official town, Fordwich, has fewer than 400 residents, smaller than some apartment buildings. Yet it still has a town charter and a mayor. That's the UK for you. Tiny, but historic. Rathlin Island, just off Northern Ireland, is famous for golden hares, a rare, shimmering form of the Irish hare. Locals treat spotting one almost like a good luck charm. A Welsh mathematician named Robert Recorde invented the equal sign as. He said no two things could be more equal than parallel lines of the same length. And here's the twist. This will connect surprisingly later when we talk about British precision in design. If you've ever walked through the UK, you've probably seen a pub called the Red Lion. It's the most common pub name in Britain, hundreds of them. Back when many people couldn't read, bright red signs of lions made sure no one got lost on their way to a pint. Then there's the Whittlesea Straw Bear Festival, where a performer dresses head to toe in straw and dances through the streets. Afterward, they burn the straw bear, symbolizing a fresh start for the farming year. Maypole dancing brings Britain's spring to life. On May Day, people circle a tall pole, weaving ribbons until it looks like a multicolored spiral tower. It's like Britain's version of wrapping a present, but with people. Cambridge wasn't always so straightforwardly named. The Cam River used to be called the Granta, and when the town name changed, so did the rivers. Britain literally renamed a river to match its city. Tourists often trip up on Leicester. It's not Leicester, it's Leicester. Same with Worcester becoming Worcester. Britain's language history is a maze, and we'll get back to that soon. Even harder is Happisburgh, pronounced Haze-borough. Centuries of Old English, Norse, and Norman influence left the spellings unpredictable, and the pronunciations chaotic. Names ending in ham or tun aren't random. Ham means home, tun means town. So Birmingham once literally meant the home of Bjorma's people. Ancient history hiding in modern maps. Then there's Hertfordshire's real hamlet called Boggy Bottom. Sounds like a joke, but it's not. It's named for the wet, low-lying land it sits on. Imagine trying to explain that address to a delivery driver. The town of Bishop's Itchington got its name from the River Itchen, not a rash, thankfully. The bishop part came from land ownership. Old names tell incredible stories, if you speak the code. Britain helped invent football, rugby, golf, and boxing, all from one small island. And here's a fun twist. The UK is also the only nation to win at least one gold medal in every Summer Olympics. The Paralympic Games began not in a stadium, but in a hospital yard. After World War II, a doctor at Stoke Mandeville Hospital organized archery contests for veterans with spinal injuries. That humble competition grew into today's global Paralympics. London is the only city on Earth to host the Summer Olympics 3 times, 1908, 1948, and 2012. That last one even featured the Paralympics, linking back to Stoke Mandeville's legacy. Scotland once knighted a penguin. His name is Sir Nils Olav, a king penguin at Edinburgh Zoo. He's an honorary member of the Norwegian King's Guard, complete with medals. He even gets inspected by soldiers on royal visits. In the Royal Navy, you never stand to toast the king. You stay seated, a rule dating back to when standing could make you lose your balance on swaying ships. To this day, officers still raise their glasses while sitting. Every Christmas, British families hide coins inside their puddings. Whoever finds one is said to get good luck for the year, assuming they don't break a tooth first. Back at Cooper's Hill, people still tumble for cheese every year. Remember fact 1? This absurd race draws global crowds. It's chaotic, and somehow perfectly British. In towns like Padstow and Kent, hobby horses parade through streets, costumes of carved horse heads and fabric, chasing crowds through pubs. It's both playful and a little haunting. And guess what? It's celebrated alongside a contest where people eat raw, stinging nettles. Yep. In Dorset, participants chew as many nettle leaves as they can, leaving only stripped stalks behind. The person with the most bare stalks wins. The pain is real. Cornish pasties are so iconic that British law protects them. Real Cornish pasties must be made in Cornwall with beef, potato, turnip, and onion folded into that signature D shape. Anything else? Legally, not a Cornish pasty. chocolate lovers owe their Easter eggs to the UK. A Bristol company called Fry's made the world's first solid chocolate bar in 1847, and by 1873 they made early Easter eggs. Cadbury later took the idea global. Britain's tea obsession needs no exaggeration. They drink more tea per person than nearly anyone else. Put the kettle on isn't just an expression, it's a national reflex. The world's busiest escalators, London undergrounds. Together, they travel the equivalent of circling the planet twice every week. Each step has more miles on it than most cars. Those large, chunky UK plugs, they're actually genius. Each has a built-in fuse for safety. That extra size has saved more than a few appliances, and probably a few lives. Because of Britain's high 230-volt power system, electric kettles boil water nearly twice as fast as in the US. Maybe that's why tea breaks happen constantly. They're instant. In UK shops, the price tag already includes tax. So $10 really means $10. No mental math required. Simple, honest, stress-free checkout. If you forget someone's name in Britain, guess John Smith. Around 30,000 people share it. It's the UK's most common name. British monarchs get 2 birthdays, one real and one official in June, so the weather's nice enough for parades. Even royalty plans around the forecast. For centuries after the Norman conquest, English kings spoke French. Courts, laws, and documents all in French. The English we know today slowly reclaimed the throne. Remember Robert Recorde and his equals sign? His invention became a global symbol of precision, a concept that still runs through British design, from railways to engineering. Even math had a British accent. The Cotswold Olympics, remember the shin-kicking sport? They predated the modern Olympics by hundreds of years. A literal Hill Olympics run by locals long before the games were revived globally. The Whittlesea straw bear reappears here too, dancing, drinking, and then burning its straw costume at the end, a symbolic farewell to winter and welcome to spring. And all these traditions, flaming barrels, hobby horses, straw bears, come together every winter across Britain. It's when ancient fire, music, and chaos fill the streets, echoing a culture that never forgot its roots. The UK, at its heart, is a country that refuses to let its weirdness die. And that's what makes it unforgettable. So the next time you sip tea, trip over a place name, or see a pub called the Red Lion, remember, everything in Britain has a backstory that's part history, part hilarity. If you love discovering the bizarre beauty of our world, hit subscribe now. You'll never look at normal the same way again. Because sometimes, the things that make no sense are exactly what make a place magical.